Hi everybody, welcome to your Cancer reading for the month of December 2019. Alright, let's just jump right in, guys. So if this reading resonates for you, that means that you're vibing with the Cancer vibe. You do not have to have Cancer in your chart. It doesn't have to be December 2019. Doesn't matter. But let's listen to the universal details. So if this reading is for you, I'm picking up that around this time you may have been going through quite a lot. And that says a lot about you, right? Because it looks like you have undertaken quite a journey. I'm seeing here the ascension card, but first what I'm seeing is it's almost like this could have been like you starting off in this lifetime, of course, because we see the lion spirit coming across as a very alpha kind of feeling, and then we have dove spirit over there, I'll show you, coming across as very omega. So in this alpha spirit, in this beginning spirit energy, I'm feeling that you've been very grounded. So it's almost like you started off on the ground and you ended up in the air. So this kind of shows, it encapsulates the human journey. But I'm seeing you as this little egg in the month of December. Super cute. And it's almost like the fire, the passions, the experiences, everything are just getting so, they were getting so, I guess, huge, so numerous that it's just almost like you just burnt right out of your egg. That sounds a little strange, but, and as you burnt out of your egg, I saw you like kind of like push, and it's almost not even like a pushing like or something violent. It's almost like you pushing the sides, knowing with full awareness that it's almost like you're like, I am one, kind of like that feeling, like he's saying, I am one, I am God, I am, like, just I am everything. And with that knowledge, just pushing reality, pushing time, and it's like almost like getting birthed as your higher self into this physical space, into this physical third dimension, and in so doing, creating almost like this space, this very tangible, I don't even want to say a rip or tear in the fabric of our dimension, because that sounds really like violent and it sounds very disruptive. No, it's more like, whoosh, I'm here, and you've created that space. So now, if, like, let's say, for example, oh man, okay, maybe that's what it was like. Completely shifting the paradigms. It's funny because I didn't get the card paradigm shift, which I'm sure should have come out in this reading, but it's almost like you're beyond that. But let's say, for example, if the third dimension here on Earth was coming in at, like, let's say an 8, your quote unquote arrival has come in and it's like created a completely different total value. So it's like, well, no, the third dimension is 9. It's not like you ripped the place in 8 and then just stuck yourself in there. No, it's like, oh, now it's 9 because I've created myself in here and I've burst through the veil, so to speak, and now the whole universe has, I'm saying universe, but the whole third dimension has expanded to accommodate me as part of it, not as an intrusion or as an extra part. Now, some of you may be like, what you talking about? But for those of you who may have gone through anything that's akin to oh my gosh, okay, so many words just wanted to come out of my mouth. Invitation to connect with spirit, initiations, activations, anything like that, then you will completely understand what this feels like. All right, I'm seeing though that once that happened, it's almost like God was like, just this energy, just gently breathing into you and just throwing away, dispelling anything, any myths, any weird ideas, anything related to mass consciousness, anything related to mainstream media. All of that starts to look completely two-dimensional. It's fake, it's paper thin, it'll fall over like a card. It's just not real anymore. And it's almost to say you're in another dimension. Now, yes, you're still visible. Yes, you are. You know what it is? It's unification. It's like, yes, you're here in the third dimension, but you're also melded with your fifth dimension. So you've got these two dimensions, for example, online now, right? So when you're in the third dimension, you cannot see what's going on in the third dimension. You know, for example, let's think of an object, length, width, height, right? Those are 3 points, 1, 2, 3. But if you're along the length, you can see the width and the height a little bit, right? You can get a sense of it maybe, right? But you can't really see yourselves as a whole. When you get into the fourth and the upper dimensions, then you can look down upon the third dimension and see what it's like. So imagine, for example, oh my God, this is even easier. If you're two-dimensional, right? Let's just say that. 2 dimensions is like one side and the other. It's kind of like a line, right? 1 dimension is like a point. 2 is like a line because you have 1 point and another point, and now it's a line. If you are one of these poles, you can only look straight ahead and see the other. But once you introduce that third, right? From the third dimension, you could see the 2-dimensional. It's the same concept. When you get to so you have the 2 and then you have the 4, the 3, and then when you have the 4 as its own pole, you can see the others, right? Okay, hopefully that makes sense. I don't know. Whatever, guys. Go draw it. You can look it up online. Long story short, what I'm trying to say is you're online now with that awareness from a higher perspective and from this third dimensional perspective. So you're just able to see more. You are able to operate in and above what would be stuck at like mainstream media consciousness. You know, it's a completely different thing. So this is definitely, I was just going to say, this is definitely speaking of initiation. And in fact, the first card that came out is Initiation by Fire, like the... Okay, they're asking me to point out that the Initiation by Fire is carrying the 22 number. In other words, they're saying it's a master number, but they're also drawing attention to the 4 energy, So being able to see everything in the third dimension, being able to have a solid foundation, and this is pure expansion. Now, I'm seeing that for those of you who resonate with this reading for this month and at this time, whenever you're watching it, I'm feeling that you were born to have this connection, this initiation, this melding, this unification in this lifetime. So this was a very real possibility for you, and congratulations. Yay! You did it, right? Now, topping off this process is our beloved Ascension card. Guys, right? So remember, we started with initiation. We started with that alpha, very grounded, coming into this earthly plane. And then check this out. Here you are ending with this dove spirit, being peace. But what I'm seeing also is just being of that radiance, that rainbow energy, even as what I'm hearing, that radiance, that you're taking flight. You are able to exist in other dimensions. You're able to connect and see things that you had not been able to see before. Now, interestingly, these cards are together. The card that's at the top is the Magician card. Right? That's that controlling energy here. Now, take a look here. They're pointing out that the Magician card exists on the same line as does this Lion Spirit. Remember, Lion Spirit is speaking to us about that third dimensional grounding, right? Starting off this lifetime as a very physical being. And then we have this dove spirit, beautiful, occupying this higher, this lighter dimension, this more etheric, this, the ascension energies. Now, part of me, I'm going to bring this Queen of Pentacles in because it wants to hang out there. So I'm just going to put it there, see if she comes in. But what I was going to say is part of me almost wants to say High Priestess energy should be here, because I'm hearing the words mystery, right? But anyway, the Magician is dealing with the unknown in many ways, but from a very grounded standpoint is what they're saying. Oopsies, the card just fell out. Okay, we're gonna put it to the side. 10 of Cups, along with the Queen of Pentacles. All right, and the Magician / the mystery always works based on what tools in the physical it has. So I'm feeling like we need to have the High Priestess here to bring in that intuitive sense. But it's almost like they're like, notice how it's not there, and that's because it's already embodied. It's already embodied. Now, it's so interesting that as I'm saying this, I'm reading this message for you guys, but at the same time, it's almost like I'm conducting another message. Another reading here with these cards. And it's almost like on another level, another dimensional level. Okay, so, all right. Are there like two me's? There's a message here somewhere. Let me just say there's a message in this duality that's happening right now where I'm reading one message and then my hands are doing another and they're picking up a completely different message. But it's not a different message, it's two different dimensions they're saying. Okay, I get that. So let's go back, let's rewind. And they're saying, remember where's the High Priestess card? It's not there. Oh, here it is. Boom. It's right in here. There it is. I'm like, where is it? I know it should be here. It should be here. And they're saying the reason why you're not seeing it there is because it's embodied. Remember, ascension speaks of that initiation that brings this higher aspect of you into alignment with, that brings this lower aspect, this consciousness, three-dimensional consciousness, into alignment with this higher dimensional consciousness, if you will. Oops. And so, that being said, here I am reading about this, and then I'm getting a completely other, more detailed, on-the-ground, three-dimensional reading. So I'm just going to go ahead and read for that. I'm seeing these cards. This is the Queen of Pentacles and the Ten of Cups. The Queen of Pentacles and the Ten of Cups. This is referring to somebody who's received something that gives them emotional fulfillment. Now, of course, we're having this conversation. They're trying to showcase to you guys how we can have interdimensional conversations at the same time. So just bear with me. On the one hand, see these two controlling cards? Queen of Pentacles, who receives something and has emotional fulfillment. That's all this right here. All right, receiving initiation, receiving alignment with higher self that brings an emotional fulfillment that is beyond anything else. Yet at the same time, in my left hand, I've got this very three-dimensional, detailed or oriented reading. So I'll just go ahead and just show that. Now earlier I was talking about bringing in the High Priestess energy, and when I looked, we're gonna go right to left. I saw the shadow side. Okay. Can you guys see? Please forgive me with the lighting. You guys know the deal if you watch my videos. See this? It's still speaking about this etheric, this unseen, this force that acts upon us, that, intuition, but shadow energy. This is shadow energy. Look at this Three of Cups. Okay? To me, that shows me third party, right? But it also speaks to me of trying different things in order to get rid of this shadow, devilly energy, whatever plagues mankind. And then we have finally the Four of Cups. Now the Four of Cups is a little bit strange here because you guys know the Four of Cups, here it is. right next to the High Priestess, right? The Four of Cups speaks about... just hang out in there with me, guys, because they're modeling something here. The Four of Cups speaks of not wanting to accept a divine cup of union, is what they're saying, the divine cup of union. Now, many of you may have been dealing with somebody who was in this Three of Cups third party situation based off of some shadow energies, right? God kept offering the connection to them, and they're like, nope, right? But through this very Four of Cups energy, now we see the Three of Cups plus the Ace of Cups. This person, as much as they were like, nope, no thank you, they are the embodiment of the Four of Cups. Why? Because they are the healing point. So it's almost like this person that was rejecting you so much is what has brought you into this into this Ace of Cups, Grand Cup receiving, right? And then we see this moon. The moon is all about illusionary energy, illusion, fear-based energy. This is about you confronting your fears about this other person. So we have the Lover's card, right? Partnership. This is about you getting triggered by this rejection, right? Into looking at that shadow energy of yours, and then boom, what happens? We have the Tower card. Okay, so you see how those very excuse me, those very third dimensional, very detail oriented, like he did this, she did that energy now connects back here to this Queen of Swords, deciding to cut out all of the BS, move into Ten of Wands, and put down the burdens. So notice here though that these steps are right next to the High Priestess. The High Priestess is almost coming in here as kind of like a guide and a teacher, bringing along these tools. We have the Four of Cups, rejection, abandonment, the no basically. Then we have the Queen of Swords with the I'm getting out of here, I don't want to be a part of this anymore. And then the surrender and putting down my burdens. So these tools are right on the train of the High Priestess. So what we're seeing is these are the tools of ascension. It's almost like it's like the toolkit of ascension coming down. And so the reason why she's not here is because if you're watching this video, you've probably already had this initiation. So you've gone through this cycle. Down here, this cycle makes sense to you. The details which are here almost don't even matter. Who cheated on who did what, who had a baby here, who did. These are details. And so they're trying to show a little bit in a very interesting narrative how these very third dimensional details meld and mystery meld with the very high dimensional, whatever dimension you want to say, intuition, High Priestess energy. So together the High Priestess works along with the Magician. Now we're seeing this polar appeal, this diametric opposition again. First we've seen it here with the Lion Spirit working on the very physical alpha beginning. Then we see here at the end of the ascension process this Dove Spirit, this transition that's happened, being more of the higher energies. So we have the Alpha and the Omega. At the same time, look at this, we've got the Magician working in the physical in alignment with the Lion Spirit, but interacting with the High Priestess, which comes from a higher vibration, higher sentimentalities. This is melding what's going on the ground with intuition. And that is coming through with the ascension energies. All right, so the ascension energies, are coming in by way of Dove Spirit. So Dove Spirit and Lion Spirit don't need to lift a hand. They're just the opposite ends. All right, but you start off as the Magician in this world, and once it's time to have that initiation, in other words, that alignment with that higher aspect of yourself, the toolkit of intuition and the High Priestess come in, and many of you will identify with this very common thread of connection. Oh, somebody's not interested in me, or this Four of Cups energy, or I can't make a move and someone's not making a move, and this and that, moving you into a place of wanting to get rid of this and making a decision, I'm done here, and then literally taking action. Notice the action oriented place looks very similar to the Magician. This is action, putting down those burdens in the real world, looks like the Magician. Whereas take a look here, this Queen of Swords very much mirrors this the High Priestess in their coloring, right? This is more about what's going on in the mental, the etheric. So there's so many things that are going on, and if this process is a little bit confusing to you, then chances are maybe this video isn't for you right now, because this video is clearly coming through to people who have had this elevation in consciousness. So if you have, you're going to be like, I know exactly what you're talking about. Okay, you're going to understand this, you're going to understand that, you're going to understand this, right? And you're going to understand how we can have a card like this, these cards like this, Queen of Pentacles receiving something, Ten of Cups having emotional fulfillment, how you can have that with respect to the 3D in terms of a relationship or a job or whatever, and at the same time at a higher through that higher aspect having emotional fulfillment after having received some kind of ascension or initiation. Okay, so interesting what they want to bring through this month for Cancer, and it's also interesting because Cancer, I don't think this reading could have come had I done it earlier in the month. So I know this is a little bit later in the month, but part of me was going to be like, I'm so sorry I'm late, but I'm like, wait a minute, I know better than to think I'm late. Things are always on time. the way that they need to be, when they need to be. If something appears to be late to you, then maybe it's not for you. Do you know what I mean? And so anyway, let's continue. All right, let's come over here. Now, I was drawn over here, but before I was drawn here, I was hearing Evanescence's song, you know, the All of Me song, and you know where they sing, I think it's the bridge, or is it the hook? I don't know, one of those. No, bridge. Anyway, whatever. And she's singing, I tried so long to tell myself that you're gone, but though you're still with me, I've been alone all along. And then I was like, why am I hearing this song? And then I turned here and look, otter spirit, super cute. You guys know when we have otter spirit, our hearts melt because they're adorable. Look at them. Like, have they literally ever spent a day apart? Like, I don't know. And honestly, you're a monster if you want them to be. They're so cute. Look, nuzzles, right? Otter spirit is coming through to say, you are never alone. However, you must sing your own song. Now, I gotta be honest, as I looked through the camera, I saw these two very quickly, and they look like twin stars. Like, that's literally what it looked like. Now, I want you to know that when I brought out these cards, I started this way and I did this and then that. I pulled out what I thought was one card, and I realized, oh, it's two. And I realized that Canary Spirit came first, so I put her here. And then the other card was Otter Spirit, so I just put it here. So please know that Otter Spirit came out, hidden behind Canary Spirit. Whenever I see Canary Spirit, it carries kind of like a penitentiary kind of feeling. And in fact, if you look at Canary Spirit's eyes, they look really frustrated. It's like, ugh, like tired of singing that solo song, tired of being alone, you name it. But as they're saying, and look, it says sing your own song. It's about, look at how they're diametrically opposed. Being independent, but being together. Now, to us, at a very 3D level, that looks diametrically opposed. But actually, when you get from a higher perspective, you see that they actually come out like this. And that from this standpoint, they both are part of the same thing. They just both are. That's all there is. There's no one and two. In fact, if you want to put it like this, there's no one and two. They are the same thing. Okay? And so, yeah, thank you, Spirit. They're the same thing. So when you think, oh, I'm alone, actually that's not true. It really isn't. And that's kind of the message that they're bringing out. They're also, again, drawing attention to this difference between perspective when you have a third 3D perspective. I want to say 5D, but I don't want to put that out there about which dimension it is and all that. Just, I'm going to say from a higher perspective. But from the 3D, it's like you see things like separation, right? But then when you see from the higher perspective, that's when you see, oh, there is no separation. What am I talking about, right? You know what? I completely forgot what I just said because my mind was completely elsewhere. Over here. So let me repeat that again. Okay, no, I think I said it right. Yeah, from the 3D, there's separation, like, oh, I'm apart, that we're not together. But from a higher perspective, there's never separation. So the word separation isn't probably not even a word. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you, let's put it into another perspective. When you have something that's short, it automatically implies that you have two things. And that they are not of the same size. So having that one statement, short, something is short, that means that there are at least two things and that they are not at the same size, right? Because that means one has to be taller, one has to be shorter. Because if you didn't have these two things to compare, or you didn't have two different sizes, then there would be no such thing as a short. That concept would cease to be. And so if you can imagine from a third dimensional perspective, what you see as having two things is actually not the reality. That's because we see things from a different way that isn't real. The reality is that that concept of two doesn't really exist. There's only one. And it looks like this. It's almost like I want to say it looks like this, but even that speaks of two. It looks like this. But you would feel both of them together using most likely higher dimensional concepts. Okay, whoa, they even like turned that over. Now they're bringing us back to, oh, bing, this idea of oneness. Okay, now the reason why they did that is because 2 is right here. Even though we're seeing them as 1, it's still 2, they're saying. So if we reverse that and we put it here, we see that we actually come back to the state of being that we have been dreading so long, which is oneness, independence, singing your own song. If it's all really one, are you ever really independent? Right? So you see how they're backing that up even more? So they're just going to go ahead and rest that there, because that's the truth. And we would even take out the word own. Sing your song, right? Because it's only your song, because you're one. All right? That's kind of what I'm going to say. Now, it's interesting because when I was doing the reading, they were like, everything is from everything. There's a lot of 3 energy here. So that hasn't, I'm still trying to understand what they mean. I have a few theories, but I don't even want to delve too deeply into it until I feel that click inside where it's like, oh, I get it. You know what I mean? You always have to have that click. Anyway, for discernment. All right, so let's continue on. Now, looking at these 2, they also come out together. So one of them, Pig Spirit, cute, says, use your mind wisely. So in the third dimension, there's this idea of using your mind wisely, right? Which implies that you could use it poorly, and that you have to be careful, and this and that. But look at how it exists at a higher dimension. Now I'm getting this says 60, but I'm drawn to the 6, right? They're saying, look at how the words change to describe the same concept. Time for a deep dive. They're saying all that means is just delving deeply into something, whether it be thought, whether it be light, whether it be whatever. Yeah, they're saying light. But they're saying it doesn't carry any idea of right or wrong, and you need to be careful, and this and that. So they're showing you again how concepts differ. They're saying sometimes they're even deeper than just seeing something like, oh, 2 and then 1, oh, 1. It sometimes carries more judgment, where this is just saying, oh, deep dive, I'm moving into something different or deeper or whatever than where I am now. That's all this says from a higher perspective. I'm delving into something different from what I am in now. This one is implying that movement, number 1. It's then it's assigning a value judgment. Be careful. So it's saying it's dangerous. And then it's saying, use your mind wisely. You have the power to not hurt yourself as you move to something else, right? So you see how loaded that is? They're saying that very loadedness, even with the words, would weigh down a page. So they're showing it's a lower vibration because of all of those things. Now, it's very significant that they just said weigh down a page. At first I was like, yeah, you need a page of paper. Yeah, you're right, because you're talking about words and sentences. But no, what they're saying is like a page. Like a page in the tarot is often about a novice, right? Somebody starting something for the first time, something to that effect, right? And so they're saying all of that is something that would weigh down those whose minds, right, are not at that higher level yet. And that's why you see sometimes when people have gone through the worst, I mean, I'm not saying like the Dalai Lama, or even people that we don't know who probably would run circles around the Dalai Lama. I don't know who those people are, God bless, but maybe, there's always variety. Maybe those people just find a way to not be so up and down. They find a way to keep it as simple as possible, as flexible as possible, as non-attached as possible, whatever you say. And we already feel like the Dalai Lama is so non-attached, right? He uses humor to get through the most heinous of things. So my point is that, or their point rather, is that they are just trying to, it feels like in this video, showcase some dimensional differences, okay? So let's move on to this next thing here. Now look, freedom is yours and surrender now. 2 different sides of the coin, but both perceived very differently, right? usually when there's this idea of surrendering, there's also this idea of wanting to hold on. In fact, as you see this cute little moth spirit, obviously that's his top, his front, but look, it almost looks like he has hands and he's like holding on to something. So there's this idea that if you say surrender now, that you're holding on to something, and not only are you holding on to it, but that it's something that needs to be released, right? And it's going to be a fight, because surrender now. But at the same time, those of us who know that whenever spirit is like, hey man, you need to let that go, and when you finally let it go, you have this freeing feeling that takes place, once you've processed that. So they're saying, even looking at that dichotomy there, and look at this coming in with the 3-3, that number, right? Look, you can choose to see it as this terrible process of needing to surrender something, let something go. Or you can choose to look forward and think of, wow, what's next for me? Wow, I'm free. What's next? Right? So it's all about how you look at it. And they're saying a lot of people, now that we reached the end here, a lot of people get stuck in all three of these. They get stuck in this concept of oneness and duality versus oneness, which gives life to all these ideas of being alone and this and that, and then rejection and all sorts of stuff. It's a slippery slope, right? Some people get stuck here also, or not also, and or here, where there's this idea about movement and the value judgments that they attach to it, right? And then they even may get stuck here in this idea of needing to open up to something new, and as opposed to let go of that so you can, right? So these are just 3 examples they're saying that may start to appear, is what they're saying, differently to you, the viewer, who has gone through this, they're saying exceptionally beautiful transmogrification, right? It's more than just a transition. It's just like completely changing shape. I mean, if we could see yourself on the energetic level, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if you were straight up getting light codes, DNA activations, initiations, whatever, like just alchemical changes. And so just opening up and aligning with that higher aspect of you. So you are going to start to see the world differently. And of course you can choose, but after a while there will be no choice, because it just is. And it'll become like this. Right? I am one. I move and I embrace movement. I am one, I move, I'm free. Right? And when you think I am one, I move, I'm free, that speaks to me as full-on sovereignty. Full-on sovereignty. Now look how they're changing the cards. Sovereignty speaks about not being trapped, not having dominion over you, not having duality, right? In a very institutional way. Now they're going to go in, and I mean, I spoke about this a little bit. This is giving me vibes from the daily reading, or the morning message is what the Christ consciousness wants to start calling it. The morning message from yesterday, which was December 20th. He came by, as he called himself, the light emissary. Let me see. Let me check. The emissary of light. There's a specific term. Yeah, the visiting emissary of light, known as the Christ consciousness, okay? So he spoke yesterday about this this sovereignty and about needing to recognize who you are. So this conversation seems to be a step further, or a continuation of that. So I'm just gonna, this is coming through for Cancer for a specific reason, but I'm gonna open it up to everybody. Now, they're taking me a step further, and they're going to show me this. It's all oneness, okay? And so if you think about it, all of these, all come into one, because there's no such thing as more than one. It just is all one. And they're showing it really, really, really depends upon the dimension that you're in. It depends on the level that to which you have ascended to be able to see that oneness and to be it and to embody it and to exemplify it and to just, it's almost like, how can you even embody something that just is? Because if you embody something, there's this idea that it exists outside of you, and so you enter into it. And so when we have that idea of I am that I am, I mean, if you think about it, many people just say I am, and that's just existence. Because anytime you introduce even one more thing, I am what are you? You're creating two things. I mean, right? I don't know. Anyway, guys, let's just move on with that. So let me pause and see where they'd like to take me next, okay? Okie dokie, off to the side here. Here are these cards that want to come in, these two guys. Seventh Ray of Ritual, Order, and Ceremony, 44 number. Hummingbird Spirit, be here now, 34 number. Now, what these two cards tell me is that, and almost it looks like a blueprint here. I don't know if you can see, but like a template. Okay, so for those of you who can see the etheric bodies and you can see the differences in how they appear to the third eye, you'll see that some of them have a very template kind of look. They may look blue or just, you know, gold or just whatever. But what they're showing is that it says be here now, but as we look at this beautiful hummingbird spirit, we know that that's not where we are, because it's not real. It's a template, right? And so it's almost like, what are we looking at? There's only the experiencing of self, they say. And you experience self by being self. So if you're looking outside of yourself and you're seeing something, what you're looking at can best, you know, our words call it a reflection, but really what we're looking at is, it's not us, it's a projection. So that's why if you're looking at things outside of yourself, the best thing you can say is it's not real. It's just not real. Everything outside is a projection of that which you are. And that being said, be here now also talks about where are you physically focused. And that's the godlike aspect of you. Because you are, and that's it, you are, period. You just are. You are. You're not doing anything. You're not saying anything. You're not looking anywhere. You're like, right, there's no action except existence. And so therefore, everything that we perceive of as a step, as a movement, as a sight, as anything, is not real. And so it's a choice on some level of yours to physically or something, mentally, emotionally, whatever, project an image of yourself onto outside. I hope I'm not losing some of you guys, but I'm sure some of you guys are like, oh yeah, we get that, right? But and so that being said, whatever you are seeing, you're choosing to experience. You're choosing to experience, and of course that brings the question, why? Why would I choose to have this happen to me and that, and a head-on collision and a Mack truck and, like, you know, gunshots and cheating men and babies and, you know, I don't know. You have to ask yourself. Maybe it's for the sake of experiencing the self. Because I'll tell you what, it's not for the sake of experiencing something outside of the self, because there's nothing outside of the self. So if you're looking at it, it's just you. And so what I'm seeing here is there's power in that. There's power because you are where you are, which is just being where you are as an experiential being. And as you, how can I say this? As you experience things in the 3D and 5D and 12D and wherever D you are just actually practicing focus. That's it. So when they say be here now, the fact that you're seeing that hummingbird means that you have chosen on some level of self to physically and mentally, emotionally, whatever, focus right here to experience yourself as a hummingbird. And then you want to align with your higher self. So you've chosen to have this idea of a split consciousness and seeing a difference between the levels of both selves, and you're choosing to identify more with one of those selves than the other. So in that moment, you are physically, emotionally, spiritually, whatever, focusing on being there, right? So the being, when you decide as God, as all that is, to come back into full unification, that's when you just are. You won't even be looking at it like this. You'll be like this, where maybe there's no image. It just is, right? And you can't even look at it to see it as is, because it's completely experiential. So, long story short, they're coming through to show you guys that it's almost like, depending on what level of consciousness you are choosing to be physically focused on, it may not feel like a choice here, right? For many, many different reasons. But wherever you're choosing to see something is a physical focus of yourself, and as that higher, supreme, all that is. Okay? I'm just going to leave it at that. All right. So let's go ahead and leave those guys there. Okay, let's see what else they want to say. I'm entertained. Hold on. Okay, so I'm looking here. I'm being drawn here. And they're showing... Whoa. Whoa, I mean, what was that? Oh, I did it. Almost did it again. Maybe I keep going to do that and they're like, no, put it in. I don't know. It almost doesn't matter, right? All right. So they're showing you here as this duality. Seeing somebody outside of yourself, twins, soulmates, karmic partners, my boss, my reflection in the mirror. And then we see this Knight of Swords coming in. This is awareness. This awareness comes and like splits it right down the middle. And it shows you that there never was a two. So hopefully that strikes a chord in some of you who are still healing. I want to say dealing, but healing from rejection from a twin in particular. This is for twin stuff here, because you do still have twins as they are born into this physical, right, and existing at different dimensions, because that's where they've been, I don't want to say programmed, but that's the words that's coming, and some of you will understand what that means, but programmed to be. But this Knight of Swords is that divine emissary. It is that computer code. It is that aspect of you that rushes in to clear up misconceptions, misperceptions. Sure, you can call it the godfather of all reasonings. They're saying what? You can call it initiation, ascension, light codes, DNA activations. You could call it, what's that? What do they call it in the atonement? In the they're saying in the current Bible, they're referring to a Course in Miracles as the current Bible, because it has been said to have been an updated version. Oops, excuse me. Whoa, God, speak it. An updated version about what, was meant to be communicated. Anyway, whatever. That's neither here nor there. But look at this person coming in and creating that split. And they're saying there never was two. So it's almost like I did this. And what if I moved a card and then the girl was no longer in the picture? You guys are like, holy crap. What? Right? What is that? So it's kind of like that. It's like an awakening. It's like a come get me. Like you're like, come get me if I get too deep. Come get me at some point. Now take a look at the card that came out next. The Nine of Pentacles, which is all about being single. Now I'm seeing this as a higher dimension where you are unified, whether you want to call it the male-female aspects of you, or the twin soul, or just whatever, the twin harmonics, anything you want to say, you are unified. And look at her in all her glory, or him, or it. And then what happens is that you do it all again. Look at this. Now completely you're erasing you as this higher being, this God being. You're erasing even that concept of that woman. And now it's just, oh, these little molecules, or oh, these little energy patterns. What can I make today? So it's not to say we're fully erased, but, but they're saying, as Dove Spirit is trying to come in, Dove Spirit is saying, you know what? Chill out. It's been done before. You've been written and rewritten and coded and coded and decoded. And as you move higher, now how does that make you guys feel? Does that make some people feel scared, like, oh my God, am I just a computer code? Am I really just a sim? Well, what if I asked you, what if you were? What if you were just like Hummingbird Spirit, right? In somebody's computer game or somebody's software. They're saying somebody's DNA packager, and they didn't like it and they're like, delete, right? How would you feel about that? And look at his like hummingbird eyes. He's like, what? And he doesn't see the coding right here, the template there. And it's almost like they're like, relax. What if that is the case? I mean, that's what some people say to be the case anyway, right? Depends on how high up you go. Now, what if, though? It really just depends on how you want to look at it. What if you found out and then you're like, oh my God, and all of a sudden you just had a wake-up moment, and then your eyes open and you're like, where am I? And you like pulled off this headset. And you're like, oh my God, I was in a game all the time, right? I mean, we don't know. And maybe at this level, as we've chosen to be here in the 3D, maybe sometimes it's about, here we go again, being here now, and about enjoying where we are and enjoying the leveling up, however many levels, however many initiations we need to have. So they're saying sometimes don't try to get so much to the top of the ladder, so to speak. What would you find at the top of the ladder, right? A plug in a socket, right? Who knows? And maybe just enjoy the journey is what they're trying to say. Okay, yeah, it's interesting because I just had like the words Jacob's ladder come into mind as I was saying that, and I was like, what does that sound familiar? And I went and looked it up, and basically I just saw quickly they were talking about, I guess, Jacob fell asleep, saw the gods descending a ladder, ascending and descending a ladder. One came over to talk to him and said, hey, basically, I am the Lord your God, blah, 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 blah. And Jacob awoke from his sleep and was basically saying, oh my God, this is the land of the gods and this and that. Now, I have no comment on that because I don't study biblical verses, and when you study the Bible, it really depends on what your idea is. Are you studying it from a religious standpoint, political standpoint, philosophical, exopolitical? It's whatever. But the way that they're bringing that into this reading is to say that in many ways, be where you are. Hummingbird Spirit, be where you are. Just be here now. And if you'd like to dream, dream. Enjoy the consciousness of where you are. And as you ascend and you do really rise up in consciousness and such, they're saying, occupy that level. Enjoy it. Excuse me. Revisit the world that you were just in the month before. Revisit it and try to comprehend it, try to understand it in a new light. Deepen that thought, right? Because it's almost like many people, they're saying, are rushing to get to the end. But if there was just eternity, even the word eternity carries a value judgment, because eternity means that there is a state where things are finite. So if things just always were, right? What's the rush? As I'm saying this, what's the rush? I'm seeing the same mirroring there. And so they're saying, just be where you are. Now let's take a look at the second. It's almost like play. They're saying play. So we see this beautiful wheel of the year in this deck, and we know when the wheel of the year comes, it's all about cycles changing, this and that. But what they're showing me here is it's almost like this Five of Swords, which we're not going to use in its traditional meaning. It's almost like this was the wheel, and now it's been dismantled. And now look, it's come they're using the words climax. I wanted to say conflict, but with this Five of Wands, both of these cards are conflict cards, by the way. Look at that. So it's almost like what was actually this at a higher level looks like this down here. Now, what does that look like for us on a 3D level? It looks like, oh my God, a cycle's ending and it's time to say goodbye to this connection. I don't wanna, and like you guys start fighting about it, and you know, so, but from a higher perspective, it looks like just something that naturally happens. Time changes, things change, but at the lower down you go in the dimensions and the lower the consciousness goes, the more the perception becomes rough and rigid and tumultuous and less contemplative, and any contemplation is misspent in the wrong direction. And so they're just showing these three together. So they're saying, listen, enjoy 9 of Cups, which is fulfilled. Enjoy moving up during the levels, but wherever you are, carry the higher perspective that wherever I am, I know there's something better than where I am, and I'm going to strive to be there. But for right now, I'm also going to look around my world and see what is different, how things have changed, you know, how I could do better myself. And eventually you'll just find yourself going higher and higher. Yeah, and they're saying, and when you get to that place, they're saying ascension energies, leveling up, so to speak, evolution is even easier. Now, I've got to be honest, I'm really getting a video game kind of feeling here. I'm not saying life is a video game, as Elon Musk and many other philosophers say, right? We're living in someone's video game, like The Sims. I love The Sims. It's crazy because I play the video game The Sims, and I've always wondered, what if I were a Sim playing my Sims, and in my Sims game, I actually have Sims who play their own Sims. So it's really, really meta. But anyway, long story short, I am getting a little bit of a video game feeling here as I'm saying this. And it's almost like, and it brings me back to a dream that I feel that I've had in the past, a long time ago, I don't even know when. And it's like I was in this like little, not wasteland, but there were stones everywhere, like a mountain. And I had a sword, and it kind of had this like metal, like I was wearing this metal armor, and it was like I was in a game almost. I don't know how to explain it, but anyway, it's not important. But look at what they're saying. This, whenever I see this, the world card, it's the end. I mean, the world card speaks about the end and the beginning, and the end of a cycle, or just completely end. And of course, maybe it can imply rebirth. They're saying reboot. Okay, sure, we're gonna go with that. But what I'm seeing here, this card in this deck always shows me saga. It looks like a saga. Look at this. As the world turns, you know. This guy at the top left actually looks like our magician. Okay. Looks like our magician. Now, what they are showing here is that, yeah, so be where you are and know that it's okay to not try to rush through, because no matter where you are, what you do, you as the supreme being, you as the only being, you as all that are always going to choose a reboot and a reset, because you want to physically focus on being someone else. I want to call this like the God card. Look at how the God card is, occupying all these different avatars and images, and of course you would be like, for whose entertainment is it? Who knows, right? But it's almost like it's irrelevant because it's just you. So there is no other being, so that even that question wouldn't arise. So if ever you're seeing an other or perceiving as an other, it really isn't. It's almost like this. Right? So interesting, the level of message that wants to come through today. And I'm like, why the Cancer reading? Why I do morning messages every day. Why would it come through Cancer reading? But I don't question, because things come through when they're supposed to come through, where they're supposed to come through, as they're supposed to come through. And that's all there is to it. All right, so actually that is the ending of your reading, Cancer / anybody. Let me see if there's anything else that wants to come out. I mean, what more can want to come out than this? Okay. I don't even know what I'm going to entitle this video. You are? Maybe. I don't know. Anyway. All right, guys. Mwah. Have a beautiful, beautiful night. God bless you, and just be where you are now. That's where you're supposed to be. Okay? Bye. Oh, I should probably promote myself. If you'd like a personal reading with me, please do let me know. And the messages that would come through for you will be at the level that you're supposed to hear it. Also, if you'd like to donate, thank you so much. Yay! You can find my PayPal link, yay, in the box below as well, the description box. All right, don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed it. Okay? Thank you so much. Bye. Mwah.